Well, it's good to have everybody join us from all over the world, especially from Africa. Welcome to Conversations. I am Mary Anna Cohn, and today we are taking a trip to Burundi. Don't forget that we always take a trip around Africa to check what's happening in those countries, find out what stories are emanating, and then address those major issues. I am Mary Anna Cohn, and I'm broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. It's the economic capital of Nigeria. Now, for those who do not know where Burundi is, or you're wondering what's Burundi, well, it is on the African continent. I'll give you a little background on Burundi. Burundi officially is the Republic of Burundi. It's actually a French republic. It is a landlocked country in the Great Rift Valley, where the African Great Lakes region and East Africa converge. It is bordered by Rwanda to the north, Tanzania to the east and southeast, and the Democratic Republic of Congo to the west. There's also Lake Tanganyika, which lies along its southwestern border. The capital cities are Gitega and Bujumbura. I'm very familiar with Bujumbura, and I am being joined by two gentlemen who are going to be having this conversation with us because we're looking at political developments in Burundi. Burundi has been in the news for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And today we're going to look at all of that, especially with the fact that the whole world is dealing with the issue of COVID-19, a pandemic that nobody has really ever experienced, and everybody is trying as much as possible to keep its people safe. We'll also look at how Burundi is dealing with COVID-19. Joining me from Bujumbura, I have Serge Nsizabira. I tried. He is an activist and also a public affairs analyst. Serge, it's good to have you join us. I hope I got your name right. I tried.
Yes, you tried.
That's right.
All right.
We're also supposed to be joined by Kanaza Eled Willie, but Kanaza is having issues with his internet, so hopefully Kanaza can join us. So I'm going to start with you, Serge. Walk us through exactly what the situation of things is in Burundi as we speak, with the death of the former president and, of course, the coming to power of your recent president, talking about Aneste. I'd like to find out exactly how well he's fared so far from your perspective.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to say that the nation today, as we speak, is stable, calm, and moving forward. With development projects. But as you know, many countries of the world are facing the challenges of COVID-19. So Burundi as well is trying to tackle the spread of this pandemic and face the challenges of the pandemic, which exactly is an unexpected pandemic. So in short, the country is calm, stable, and trying to face the challenge of COVID-19. Yeah. Hello? So again, maybe I can continue because I see you are not, others are not around. With the new administration, I would say that the new administration started in around August. That is when we have the new government led by His Excellency Evariste Ndayishimiye, the President of Burundi. And first of all, as every new president, he started by building a dynamic team around him, a team that will help him to implement his programs. I can see that what His Excellency and Prime Minister of Burundi are trying to do now is to work gradually since August to make sure they work on a team. They find a very strong team and a dynamic team able to help them to implement the projects that they are to implement. They have promised during the elections. So now a team of men and women have been chosen, and they have uh, they were given opportunity to boost and serve in the new government to try to make sure they develop this country. So the new government, of course, came with many expectations. When you would meet people in August or in July, they would tell you that they are more happier because they expect a lot of things, a lot of change to occur in the country. That is to say that the new government come with hope and expectations. Of course, that former leadership, maybe there are things that the former leadership didn't achieve, and this new one is expected even today to achieve more and more projects to satisfy
Let me come in
the
there.
population.
Let
Yes.
me come in there. The reports say that President Evariste Ndayishimiye has continued to consolidate power after replacing President Pierre Nkurunziza in June of last year. Now, despite insinuating that he would bring some form of reforms, people are beginning to double down on their expectations because they have not seen those promises that were made come to fruition. Why do you think that's happening? Because people did say, like you also said, people are expecting a lot from this government. But since June till January 2021, there seems to be a dampening of that hope from the people. Why do you think that is?
I think personally that it's early to judge that His Excellency Evariste Ndayishimiye will be able or will not be able, because what he has already achieved since August when he formed the new government, what he have been able to achieve until now is a lot, according to me. Because in 5 months, if, for example, I will give you an example. In international relations, for example, you will see how he has been able to normalize relationships with different countries in the region and international. So, for example, you will see like the decision of United Nations Security Council to remove Burundi from their agenda. You can see how now European Union is trying to normalize the relationships with Burundi, but also you can see how refugees are coming back from the exile. So there are a lot of changes that he has been able to initiate. And as I said, initially every new president tried to make sure he has a very dynamic team, and that is what His Excellency is trying to do. But what I can say also in economy, for example, he is his program is promising, according to me, because agriculture, like in many African countries, 90% of general population uh, uh, live because of agriculture. They are small scale farmers, and His Excellency has already demonstrated his will to invest more in this sector here in the country. So he has also been able to uh, has been able to change some leaders of national organizations that maybe their performance were not satisfying, and people were saying that those people should leave their power so that we can have a very good team. I will also give you an example. In today's world, when you see a president who is giving opportunities to young people to lead, young people to take the destiny of their country in their hands, this president is really promising. So you can see how he has been nominating young people in key positions. This means to young people that he has and he promised during the elections, and that is what he's doing. So I think it's early to judge him and his team because the initially was to make sure he has a very dynamic team, and now we're expecting this 2021 to have big projects to be implemented. So it's
Okay,
really,
so
I
I'll
think
just
it
ask
is
for a quick
good.
favor, and then I'll ask my next question. Can you move away from your camera? We can't see your face. We're just seeing your mouth. We need you to move. Yes, we can see your whole
Okay.
face. Great, thank you. You seem to sound more like you want to give the president more like a whole year for him to prove himself. June 2021 to January of 20, June 2020, I beg your pardon, to January 2021 is a long enough time for a person to prove themselves, especially if they say that they want to bring some form of reform. Now, I'll give you some information. The United Nations Human Rights Council recently, during an ongoing human rights, talked about an ongoing human rights abuse in Burundi. In fact, they're accusing President Evariste of actually employing people who have been abused before now of human rights abuse. They have said that he has those people in his government. If you are a reformist and you plan to change the plight of your people for the better, should you be bringing people into power who have some cases of human rights abuses hanging over their heads? Shouldn't that be something that you'd want to pass off on until maybe these people are either freed of these cases before you decide if you're going to give them a job or not? Why is he appointing these people into his government?
I think the situation how it was in 2020, let me say from 2015, it was alarming. Of course, there was a crisis, but the perception of every institution like United Nations and the European Union, they had their way of viewing things and their way of taking decisions. And Burundi also is part of that that organization. That means Burundi also has been giving its reason on those allegations. But what I will say is that His Excellency President of Burundi, when he nominates some of those who were said in those reports in key positions, he did that without considering the reports. And sometimes, and it was said even different reports here in Burundi, that every country has its way of taking decision, and especially a new president, he has his own criteria on how he's going to make his team. I'm not saying, and I will not say that there are no work to do. They still work
But
to do.
this criteria is supposed to be in line with, it should not in any way be abusing or seem to be abusing human rights. It should be in line with best international practices. It should not be subject to questioning. I mean, if you are doing something that is right and you want to benefit your people, it should be going in the right direction, not in the direction where people have already criticized you in time past.
I think what we need to look at is how did Burundi react on those allegations? Did Burundi accept them? Did Burundi give his view on them? Yes. What was that view? And then later you will see how the president decided to nominate those personalities. So I think it is in his responsibility to take a decision and to make a team that he thinks himself that the team will be dynamic and will help him to implement projects. And by the way, when you look at some of those who are said in those posts, some of them are performing well, and normally sanctions are taken in another way, are removed. Like United Nations, the same organization has realized already improvement in different parts of some of what they were saying on the last government. So this is the new government, which also needs to be judged itself from when it starts without going back in the history. I think that is the basis that His Excellency tried to
Okay.
based on.
All
Yeah.
right, let me bring in our other guest. Unfortunately, he's having problems joining us live here on the platform, so we have him on the phone. Eloj Kaneza is also joining us from Bujumbura. Eloj, you've been following the conversation. You've heard most of what your colleague Serge has said. What's your reaction as to why seven people are criticizing the fact that President Evariste has in his government some people who have been accused earlier on of human rights abuses under the former president?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
But, I didn't follow so much what he said, but what I can say is that for me, it's a like kind of continuity. Everything that she is doing many things, and he's trying his best to keep a Burundi good image, or to renew a Burundi image on international level, even regional. But for those who have been accusing his government to have inside people accused of human rights abuses, human rights violations. The fact is there. We have when we consider what is into UN reports, many UN reports, and the Europeans. International human rights organizations, as well as Burundian ones and the regional ones and the continental ones. We have many authorities that have been in charge of police, have been in charge of intelligence. Now they are in charge of police, and also we have the prime minister, who was also accused as the chief of police. I mean, the minister of security for many years, and but the government has already denying this and saying that all those people saying these are the enemy of the country. They've been paid for some powers, international community, and all those people who are taken or put in the same basket as people who wanted to change regime in 2015. So it's really a fact. Those people have been accused of a lot of human rights abuse and abuse and the violations. Now they are still in charge. But for me, no one can be surprised, because when those people were in charge, Evariste Ndayishimiye, our president today, was the boss of the CNDD-FDD, and it's the CNDD-FDD running the country even today. So he was with them, and yet he can't endorse as a president even, or the chief of the CNDD-FDD. He can't endorse all those errors and the faults and the bad things that are happening. But we can't be surprised seeing him bringing those people into his team, or seeing them joining his team, because it is a CNDD-FDD regime. It's a CNDD-FDD system, and he was the boss of the CNDD-FDD. You know, all of us know he will be replaced this Sunday. So I will not accuse him of having brought these people, because they were with him.
So they were members of his party. All right, let's move away from that. Let's talk about Sir, did you want to respond to him? Did you want to respond?
Yeah, I wanted to maybe mention that it is the responsibility of new government to decide how it wants to conduct the country, based maybe on the past or on what we have today. So all those reports, do we have to do we have to stay there where we were in 2015, or do we have to move on to make sure we develop this country? So I think the signs already which are on the ground are promising. It is really, according to me, not important to go back in the history and what we have been in the past, but let's take the future perspective of this country and be positive on the team already in place, and give the challenge to the team which is in place, and make sure we support them, but also we analyze and criticize positively what they are doing now, without basing ourselves on past.
All right. I want to come in there too. Let's talk about this. I don't want to drag the issue, but you cannot you cannot move on to the future if you do not consider the wrongs that you made in the past, so that you can right them for the future to be better. But anyway, let's talk about the growing humanitarian crisis in the country. And people are saying that this is as a result of the narrow political space and the refusal to create an inclusive political environment. This may have also again caused the UN to have its eyes on Burundi. Do you think that maybe right now there is a level playing field, and every single politician in different political parties can say that there is a fair playing field for everyone?
On that question, I would say that there is more work to do with that. There is more work to do. Politics in Africa has no standard measure. In many countries, you will find that the way politics is game, I may say that the way politics is played are different to what we see abroad or in any other country. So the structure which is here, I can't say that it's really fair to everyone, but still, as I said, there is a development. I would give you an example on the ground. Last time, His Excellency the President met all political parties, leaders of this country. It was this January, I think 2 weeks ago. And this was a very good sign, actually. So that is why I said we are at the beginning. We are yet to to see the real image of this administration, and what we are seeing are promising. Yeah.
Let's move on to health issues. COVID-19, as I said. Oh, you'd like to
I
comment?
would like to make a comment. Yeah.
Aloj, go ahead.
On this point, for me, I think all is about propaganda and the communication. Yes, the president met these political leaders or president or representatives of different political parties, but we are still seeing on the ground many opponents being arrested and arbitrarily. I will cite an example of two young men in Bujumbura, not far from the economic capital Bujumbura. They've been arrested only for having created a WhatsApp group for a local opponent. Thank God they've been released yesterday. But you see, for me, all this is about communication and the propaganda. We are seeing the Senate party. The principal opposition party, they were not given, not even a single, a single seat in the office or the bureau of National Assembly. For me, I think we still have a lot to do with this, and we still have a lot of intolerance. But I think the president, as one of the who has been in charge of a political party, he's trying his best, but he's surrounded by a crowd of many people who have been there and who don't tolerate maybe this new way of doing things. For me, all it's about propaganda and the communication on this already on this point. I'm sorry.
Okay, quickly. Let me just.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna let you speak. Serge, just hold on. Just hold on. I want to go ahead and buttress what he just said. While I was doing my research, I realized that there are some journalists that were arrested for going to cover a story. Maybe Eloj can explain more about that, because he's talking about propaganda here. Were these journalists committing any form of a violation of the laws of broadcast journalism or journalism in Burundi? Eloj.
Yeah, thank God they have been released on 24th of December. But what happened was a shame, because they went to do their job, and the Burundian law accepting the law, the freedom of press and the journalism, but they've been accused of trying to attempt to the security, to the state security. For me, that was total fabrication. And when you're talking about media, let me just remind you that the Voice of America today is still banned. The BBC's license was now is permanently taken off, and one of the last independent media, its website today, you can't access to it. Why in Burundi? You have to go to be outside or to go through a window website that have been created by Reporters Without Borders. We see that on this point there is, I think, always remain weak to qualify what's happening in the sector of media.
Okay. Serge, would you like to respond quickly before we talk about COVID and wrap it up?
Thank you so much. I would like, first of all, to say that I said that there is more work to do with political space. That is what I mentioned, but you can't refuse that there are developments which are in place. You can't refuse. We are at the beginning of a new administration. You can't refuse that the way it was in 2019, the way it was in 2020, is the way it is today. So I think as I said, the perspective is promising. And about the journalist, of course, he knows it better. And I share the view with him that journalists must have their freedom of expression, like all Burundians. And what is being done now is to make sure we pray that that space will be there for not only for journalists but for all Burundians, which is a fundamental right to everyone. So we pray for the best, and that is what we think will continue to be and to happen. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about COVID-19. I'll start with you, Serge, and then, of course, Elodge would wrap it up for us. Let's talk about COVID-19. Like in countries like, I talked about COVID-19 in Senegal. There was a protest recently where the people said they cannot afford a lockdown because of how hard the economy has been hit. Burkina Faso is facing a food and water crisis, etc., etc. How is Burkina Faso dealing with the humanitarian crisis they have on the one hand, and dealing with a health crisis, which is a pandemic that's ravaging the whole world? How is it? How are they handling
it? Thank you so much for that question. With this unexpected pandemic COVID-19, every country, not only in Africa, but also Europe, US, Australia, everywhere, each country has its way of dealing with the pandemic. Here in Burundi, the pandemic, of course, there are some decisions and measures that are being taken by the in-charge Ministry of Health, but also a special commission to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic. And I will say that this is the way the government have chosen to face this COVID-19. And according to what we are seeing here, activities are proceeding like always, but we need to take precautions. We are asking you to take precautions. For example, for public transport, we need to wear masks. When we go to, we are not really, we are advised. We are advised not to go to crowds, but also they are everywhere washing hands, kits, to make sure people are taking precautions. But this is the way the country have decided to tackle this pandemic, and the situation which is here is like this. Yeah.
Okay, Elodge, finally, how do you think the country is dealing with COVID? Is it doing its best, and how is
on this point?
Yeah.
Frankly, on this point, I think President Evariste Ndayishimiye is doing a great job to contain and also sensibilize Burundians and the fight against this pandemic of COVID-19. We know that he did inherit a very bad situation when it comes to COVID-19 because the former administration was denying it. Even we have even people, community group of just seeing that COVID-19 can't come to Burundi, and many officials, have been saying like these people. So, but I think today, even though he's still also struggling to find means and ways to convince also, other officials, because we see today the office of the president himself said that the people who go there seeking services, they have to wear a mask. And many other institutions. But now we see that the committee in charge of COVID-19, they come and say it's not a must. We see how much really it's a burden on the president to impose himself and to find means and ways really to convince even high officials how to deal with this COVID-19. But another thing for me, which is not good now, even though the president is really doing a great job launching this campaign against COVID-19 and testing people. But now, which is, I don't like for me, is that yes, I'm a Christian and I believe in God, but we didn't elect, Burundi didn't elect these officials to come and preach. Now, they go and preach. COVID-19 is about measures and decisions taken, not preaching. And now even they're included in the political capital. They are talking about, they are linking COVID-19 and punishment of God. It has nothing to do with that.
That is funny.
Yeah, this, for me, this hurt. But really, frankly, President Ndayishimiye is doing his best. But I think we should avoid this. They were not elected to preach, but to take decisions.
Okay, all right. Well, gentlemen, this is the most we can take today. I want to thank you all for being part of the conversation. Unfortunately, Eloj could not join us on camera, but I want to thank you so much, Serge Clava Disabida. Oh my goodness, Serge, your name. I'm going to get it someday, but I'm just going to leave it at thank you very much. Serge is an activist, he's a public affairs analyst also. Eloj Kaneza is a journalist also from Burundi, all of them joining me from Bujumbura. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of this conversation. We wish you all the best. Hopefully, I might be able to come to Burundi someday and enjoy the tourism in Burundi.
I will correct. I was not in Bujumbura. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, welcome to Bujumbura. Yeah, it's fine and stable. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much once again for being part of the conversation. Well, we want to thank everybody who's joined us from Los Angeles. Thank you. We saw Pablo from Los Angeles. Somebody was watching us from Kaduna. We also saw Matt Goldman from Los Angeles joining us. Mark Goldman, and we saw somebody else joining us from somewhere. Well, everybody who's joined us on the conversation, thank you so much for being part of it. You can go on YouTube and watch this video all over again. Apologies for the internet hiccups. My name is Mariana Cohn, reporting live from Lagos, Nigeria. I'll see you sometime soon when we'll be taking a trip to yet another African country. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you.